that the entire movement is left in its demands, in its soul and spirit. It is left. All the demands that have been raised by the movement, by the demonstrators, by the protesters all over the country, were exactly the left program prepared throughout the last decades. But the problem is, and I think this is something which doesn't need to be proved for you, that elections are always made by money. And especially in a case like in Egypt, after about 60 years of dictatorship, where we had at least 3 generations in the country which did not have any kind of free elections in their lives. So,
Mamdouh, I'm so sorry to start to wind down, but I've been notified by everyone that we are way over time now. So could you conclude very concisely, and then we can go to Paulo for one last time.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I don't need more than 2 hours. No?
Which I wish I could.
Okay. I don't need more. But anyway, in this context, I just want to mention that the United States of America have always bluntly lied when they pretended to be against the rise of the political Islam around the world, and especially in the Middle East, while they have always supported the political Islam. Because the rise of the political Islam in our country, especially in Egypt, is the guarantee for them not to let this country step forward on the way of democratization. This is the main obstacle in the secularization process of the country. And they have supported heavily the political Islam, the rise, the revival of the political Islam in Egypt, especially since exactly the year 1972. And since then, the political Islam was supported through Saudi Arabia, which is what we call the sole agent of the interest of the United States in the region. So the political Islam was the power that had built the main organization throughout 4 decades until this revolution came. And despite all of that, there is another question about the minorities.
I think we need to go to Paulo now. One more. Yes, Paulo, please.
Vou tentar ser bastante rápido. Não vou responder as tuas perguntas, Ernesto, conversamos depois. Mas eu queria tratar do que o Erebus levantou. Porque é muito importante, o Brasil tem um peso muito grande. Eu gostaria que o governo do Lula, da Dilma, se aproximasse mais. Não? Okay. Eu gostaria que o governo Lula, Dilma, se aproximasse mais do que a Venezuela está fazendo como políticas que são inspiradas por uma solidariedade e com todo o processo revolucionário e socialista cubano. Aqui no Brasil, o Lula terminou o governo com 80% de apoio da população. Os trabalhadores, os jovens, têm muita simpatia por Cuba, pela Venezuela, mas as classes dominantes, através dos meios de comunicação, mantêm uma campanha direta contra Chávez, contra Cuba. E dizem, por exemplo, Chávez quer se tornar um ditador perpétuo como Fidel. Está acabando com a democracia, pensam que a democracia é como a brasileira ou a americana, que tem 2 partidos que são a mesma coisa. Então, a campanha contínua que faz com que o governo tenha posições ambíguas, às vezes apoia, às vezes retrai. O governo Lula, através do Instituto de Pesquisa Econômica Aplicada, criou um grupo de trabalho com a Venezuela, enviou uma equipe brasileira para trabalhar com a Venezuela. Em outros âmbitos, não. Então, do ponto de vista da solidariedade dos trabalhadores, a Venezuela tem avançado bastante. E o Brasil, desse ponto de vista, simplesmente continuou com as políticas sociais focalizadas, que mantém o Brasil como um dos mais desiguais do mundo, em termos de distribuição de riqueza e de renda, com um sistema educacional bastante atrasado em relação à Cuba, com um sistema de saúde bastante atrasado em relação à Cuba. Então, Cuba tem, do ponto de vista dos trabalhadores, tem muito mais a contribuir com a Venezuela do que o próprio Brasil. E o Brasil tem defendido nas suas relações na América Latina mais os interesses de capital. Por exemplo, o caso da Petrobras no Equador, que o Pedro pode até tratar melhor, o caso das construtoras do Brasil que são financiadas pelo governo brasileiro para fazer construções em alguns países da América Latina, a questão do gás na Bolívia. Então, a política brasileira em torno do capital das grandes corporações brasileiras, articuladas ou associadas a capitais estrangeiros. É essa, no campo da economia, a política do Brasil em relação à América Latina. Então, eu acho que é uma pena que o Brasil tenha perdido muitas oportunidades de mudar um pouco. Como eu disse, o governo Lula poderia ter dado os 10 bilhões para o Fundo Monetário, mas poderia também ter dado 10 para o Banco do Sul. Então, não seria preciso que o governo Lula fizesse enormes reformas. Mudasse um pouquinho a política, e teria bastante apoio.
Thank you very much for your very brief and pungent comments. Can you, Professor, take a very, very short time? Thank you.
I will be slow and short, so I may not be able to answer all questions, but the first question I would like to answer is the young scholar there, and I would like to answer in Chinese. And 对，我很同意你的观察，就是现在北方的金融危机正在令到我刚才讲到的那个全球生产网络瓦解因为以前中国很依赖美国跟欧洲的消费者，现在他们都没钱收费了感觉中国我相信也不会再那么愿意去借钱给他们收费问题是这个那个网络瓦解之后会出现一个更稳定的那个经济秩序呢，还是出现一个比较混乱的更多冲突的秩序，更多冲突的秩序？这个就是其实中国政府的那个政策会有很大的影响。我知道现在北京正在进行那个经济会议，我期待也希望下个礼拜他们会议结束的时候会推出很多新的政策去刺激中国国内的消费。这个中国从出口导向变成那个类似推动的经济的发展，其实对中国的发展跟稳定很重要，而且对
请慢一点说话。
而且对跟中国做很多贸易的伙伴也是很重要。现在有一个担心，就是在那个南方国家里边，就是中国出口导向到那个类似带动的转换过程，如果没有 没有够快的话，中国的出口业还是需要将它的出口现在如果没办法去美国、去欧洲，就可能要去别的地方。所以现在你看到一个很有趣的现象，就是美国一直对中国的汇率很多问题，这个他们的投诉本来也有很多问题，但是没有时间仔细讲。但是最近在 WTO 投诉中国汇率的一个国家并不是美国，而是巴西的工人党政府。所以我们可以看到，在南方国家里面，实际上有一个忧虑。所以这个中国经济发展的模式的转换，对中国本身很重要，对其他南方国家的发展也是很重要。And then the second question and the last question, actually, I would like to answer is about combined question about the food problem and the non-state actor problem. That one problem of the export-oriented industrialization in China, starting in the 1990s, is that the decline of agriculture. Many people abandon farming and go to become workers. So China then moved from being a grain sufficient or food self-sufficient country to starting to become a food importing country. So it is a problem for China food security, and also it creates some pressure on the global food market. So in terms of the non-state actor, I think that over these 2 days we hear a lot of good stories about the rural reconstruction movement in China. So reviving agriculture is of utmost importance, not only to China's development. Again, it's also very important to the global south and the world at large. I believe that if this movement succeed and try to become food self-sufficient or even become a food exporter again, it will relieve the pressure on the global food market, and it depends a lot on non-state actors such as the rural reconstruction movement. And at the very last, that I would mention that suggest that one movement that we should support, not only in China, of course, in everywhere, is the global vegetarianism movement. Because now one phenomenon is that the rising middle class and the new rich in China and in developing world, in Brazil as an example, also that more and more people eat meat, and if we collectively shift to a more vegetarian diet, and also it will help relieve the pressure on the global food market. I know how difficult it is, because I myself is the last meat eater in my family, so I feel a lot of pressure to reduce my meat consumption, but that is very hard, and particularly if you are in China with all this temptation of very good food. But it is the way to go, I think, in the long run. So thank you.
Thank you. I think that we can all agree that this was a really inspiring and marvelous panel, and I want to thank you all very much for another round of applause. Thank
you. Okay, well, thank you very much. It has been a very dynamic morning session, and actually I think that